Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about weeds today. What about weeds? Well, weeds are unwanted plants, right? And we have noxious weeds, we have all sorts of terms for weeds, but what are weeds really? They're plants just like anything else, and they're adept at surviving in certain circumstances and environments. Let's take, for instance, this weed here, this common weed called mare's tail, right here, and so it's kind of a nasty weed, has a bunch of seeds. But take a look at this right here. Watch this. We pull this thing. Look at the root, and it broke off. Look at the taproot on that dude. Huge root. It's a taproot. It's going to break up compaction. And it's going to do amazing things for your soil. Now, Russian thistle's another one. I can't pull it by hand because it's prickly, but take a look at this rooting system here. Look at that, guys. I hope you can see that. I don't know with the camera. Just a great rooting system. It creates habitat, shade, and shelter for new growing plants. So sometimes a weed is just something that we didn't put there, and so we can get into this big tizzy about eradicating this problem and waging war. Or maybe instead we can stand back and say, shoot, what is this weed? What does it mean? Why do I have this weed? What does it say about my ecosystem that I'm working with? And how can I use it for my benefit? Right over there you can see behind me. Maybe you can. Where are they at? There's the truck. There's the goats way off in the distance out there, Those goats love these weeds. And it turns out they're extremely nutritious. They mine some other nutrients that a lot of cash crops won't. And they prepare the soil, and they prepare the soil for the coming perennials and other crops that come in. And they're conditioning, they're getting rid of compaction, they're adding some root mass in there, they're bringing up nutrients from down below and then dying and depositing those nutrients on the soil surface so that the subsequent plants that come in, the biennials followed by the perennials, they have what they need to succeed. So they're kind of, I know some people have called weeds the first responder, and so when we have a crisis, right, when we have soil impact and bare soil like that, that's prone to erosion. That's something we don't want. And so what happens is those first responders, those weeds that are easily germinate in bare soils, they come in and they are there to, like I said, to prepare the way for the coming biennials and perennials as we move towards diversity and stability in a system. And the other thing we notice is in weeds, there's not just one weed here. There's mare's tail. There's pennycress here, which is actually a brassica. There's some of the grass that we're trying to grow. That's a perennial. Russian thistle. Shoot, I don't even remember what you call this wiry looking stuff here. There's kochia. There's China lettuce. You name it, all the dirty words. But the goats don't mind. And what I don't want to do is I don't want it to perpetuate. We don't want to. I'm not advocating weedy fields. I'm not saying that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, yeah, let's all grow weeds. I'm just saying they serve a purpose, and we need to learn from them and to understand that they're part of a natural process and order that I believe God has ordained. He set it forth to work in this succession. So instead of waging war and thinking I know better, I need to go back to school. I need to take notes from the environment around me and say, all right, how can we use this? How can we work through this? If the weeds are there, that means there's bare soil and there's nothing to compete. There's a resource. There's water, there's soil, there's nutrition, and nature knows we need to utilize that. And so that's what we're trying to get better at with cover crops, things like that. Learn from these weeds, learn when they're, and then put a crop in that we want ahead of the time that they will be filling that gap. Let's fill that gap with what we want to do. And then they'll, the crop we want will outcompete it. And by using animal impact, we can reduce those weed seeds. Those goats will just go in there and destroy those things. So that's a little bit about weeds today. Like I said, I'm not advocating weedy fields. I don't want weedy fields. This is a weedy field because it has to be. We can't spray the grasses with major herbicides, and maybe that's a good thing. It kind of ties our hands a little bit, and I've got to learn how to use some different tools, or add some different tools to this toolbox of mine. So yeah, there you have it. Thanks guys, stay tuned. That's what we're doing here today at Black Rock Pastured Fairs. God bless.